New Jersey Democrats are defending that chaotic scene at the Newark ICE facility that ultimately resulted in the arrest of the city's mayor.
They created that confrontation. They created that chaos.
I think there was a lot of opportunities for DHS, for ICE to de-escalate the situation. They chose not to.
People just are afraid of this un-American hyperactivity, this weaponization of law enforcement, and the consistent lying at all levels to try to cover up for the wrong and the unlawful activities that ICE did on that day.
But DHS says they are still exploring additional charges for those involved. Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss joins us now. Congressman, good morning to you. So here's a quote from DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin. She says that lawmakers could still be arrested because the department has body camera footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers, including body camera footage of a female ICE officer involving body slamming a female ICE officer, rather. Congresswoman McIver has disputed that characterization of her actions. But when you look at this footage, how do you feel about this situation and how it all played out?
Clearly, the ICE agents let this get out of control. I would encourage DHS to release all the footage so that facts can be submitted to a candid world and Americans can understand what happened. I think that footage is going to reveal something very different than what they're claiming. It's important to start with the premise that members of Congress have a legal right to do unannounced visits at ICE detention facilities. That's part of their supervisory role. They've done it before. They should do it again, Republicans and Democrats. And that's what these three members of Congress were doing. They were there for an hour and a half before they allegedly stormed it, so I doubt they were storming it from the inside. And then after the alleged storming, they got a tour of the facility. So it's hard to square those facts with the idea that somehow they were unwanted trespassers.
Let's take a step back, though, for a moment. Let's assume everything you said is 100% accurate. Is this a good look for your party in light of the fact that the American people voted overwhelmingly on November 5th to get rid of what are the individuals held at this facility? Child rapists, MS-13 gang members, murderers, terrorists. That's all according to DHS. Is that a good look, though, for your party? Not going and performing their oversight duty. That's what Congress people should do. But the back and forth, the constant fighting, the getting arrested like Ras Baraka did, the mayor of Newark, does that square with what the American people want?
So first, the American people and Democrats, and me included, want to see criminals deported. You are here without lawful documentation and you are committing crimes, you're out of here. That's why I voted for bipartisan border security legislation endorsed by the Border Patrol agents, because we absolutely need a secure border. We're a nation of laws. We're also a nation of immigrants and need to be treating people fairly and with due process. I think what you're pointing out is that this fracas distracts from the core issues, which is exactly what the Trump administration wants, which is why I think the ICE agents instigated this event. It did not need to come to the escapade that you're seeing here. These members of Congress were there peaceably. They were there legally. They were requesting what is their congressional responsibility, which is oversight. And instead, they got pushed around.
And this facility has been created to give illegal immigrants due process before they're deported, which is something that Democrats have been calling for.
And I would just push back quickly. I understand what you're saying. DHS has said that they were not the ones that instigated these Congress people. So, of course,
they should release all the footage.
We'll see when it all comes out.
Very good point. Let's let the footage do the talking, and then we will all make our judgments as we view it. Okay, let's talk about the big, beautiful bill. House Energy and Commerce Committee Chair Committee that you sit on released an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal and confirmed that there will be work requirements for people who receive Medicaid. And this is a quote from that Wall Street Journal op-ed. When so many Americans who are truly in need rely on Medicaid for life-saving services, Washington can't afford to undermine the program further by subsidizing capable adults who choose not to work. That's why our bill would implement sensible work requirements. What do you think about that element of the bill?
I think that healthcare is always a complicated topic, and so it's better, instead of digging into one policy or talking point, to look at the overall effect of this legislation. And the overall effect is really two things. One, about 5 million Americans are going to lose coverage under this Medicaid proposal. And the second is that the overall bill is going to add $6.9 trillion to the national debt. That's not me, that's the Congressional Budget Office, nonpartisan independent analysis saying those two things. So we're going to have 5 million Americans without health insurance, and we're going to have $7 trillion over the next decade of more debt. I don't support that kind of legislation. If the Republicans wanted to come to us and said, hey, we're not going to give the tax breaks to the 1%, which is about 80% of the benefits of this bill go to the 1%. We're just going to extend the tax cuts for the middle class. We're going to expand community health centers, and we're going to tighten up some elements of Medicaid that we think have gotten over their skis since the pandemic. Okay, we work on that. Not here to work on $7 trillion of debt.
Even the SALT deduction, which your constituents need in Newton. We don't have a lot of time. I imagine you want the SALT deduction for your constituents in Newton.
I'm going to evaluate any tax proposal in the portfolio of broader tax proposals. These tax proposals are hooking up to 1%.
Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thanks.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.